What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to kind of start making this video. This is actually, I'm going to be taking clips of this as I build this. It's going to take maybe a month or so. It all depends on how much I can work on it and at what pace I can order the parts. But I'm real excited to get started on this, so I'm just going to take little snippets of kind of document how I'm doing it on as I go. And then from there you can use it to build your own Overland trailer. So here we'll kind of get into what I'm building. So I actually just got the metal delivered today. As I stated before, this is 2x2 11 gauge wall, square tubing, steel, obviously weldable because I'm gonna have to weld this frame together. This is a bandsaw I actually picked up from Harbor Freight. I read a few reviews online. It's about 270 bucks. My main concern was getting nice straight cuts for building the trailer, because obviously making a square frame you need your cuts in to be square, and that helps a lot. So here I was just kind of testing out how I got that bucket supporting this so that it was sitting nice and level when I cut it, and that was kind of a test cut, seeing if I need to make any adjustments to the blade, and it cut pretty much perfect. So from here I'm gonna start planning out exactly what lengths I need to cut, and then I can cut those out and kind of lay the frame out. And then I got some test pieces, or I have enough extra to where I got some test pieces I'm gonna cut and weld, see how hard it pulls, because my main thing is gonna be getting this thing square, because I want it to track down the road good, especially the axle suspension. It bolts to each side. It's not like a straight axle underneath, where as long as you got that straight, even if the trailer's at a square. So the square of the trailer is very important for this. Haven't talked much about it on the channel, but I've actually had this TW200 dual sport bike since it'll be a year in May. And I normally carry it on that bike carrier on the back of my truck. I have to take the spare tire off. It's just kind of a pain. So I was thinking, I normally the places I go set up base camp and ride that, the trails aren't bad at all. So I was thinking, what if I build, or first I was looking for a used trailer, but I said, what if I build myself a trailer, because I got a welder and everything I need to really get the job done. So that's kind of the plan. Might be kind of hard to hear me, but I just kind of wanted to show you the bandsaw in action. It's cool because you can turn it on, get it set where you're cutting, and the weight of it actually cuts through at its own pace. So it takes a minute or two, but it cuts through and it's nice and clean and nice and straight. Obviously when it gets down closer to the bottom, I'm gonna have to support this end, so this just doesn't go tipping down on me. Guys, made some good progress tonight. Got the outside of the frame all cut, and I got it sitting on the floor. It's pretty close to square right now. I still gotta mess around with it when it comes time to weld it. I think I'm gonna end up running some supports across here. I'm gonna do some 45 right here towards the tongue. After it's all welded and square, I might even do little tiny flat plate gussets in each corner. We'll just have to see. I ended up going with 6 foot. It's actually 6'4" overall length. I originally wanted 4, and then I decided 5, and now I just figured I'm gonna go ahead and do full 6 foot. Full tongue length, it's gonna be right around 12 foot, maybe like 12 foot 2 inches or so. That's about where the axle's gonna be. They say 60-40 placement, so 60% of the way back. And I'm trying to get, for best towing capabilities, you want the wheelbase from your axle to your tongue to be about the same wheelbase or longer as your truck. Truck's 127 inches, so we'll just have to see how that works out. But yeah, good progress. I think that's about it for the evening. We'll get back working on another day. Just want to give you guys an update on the trailer. Got all the pieces cut. It's not welded just yet. I just got done cleaning up all the edges where the welds are going to be, because that's important for that to be nice and clean for the welds. I did tack this back main tongue brace, tack that perfectly square to this back bar. It's just going to help keep the trailer square after I tack everything and weld, because things are going to want to pull in certain directions from as the welds cool. So next step is to weld it up. Got all of our pieces tacked together. Measured and confirmed. I got exactly 4 feet from this edge to this edge, and from that side 4 feet from that edge to this edge. The fact that we're using the Timbren axles, they mount on these sides, so it was important that these are perfectly parallel to help with the alignment on the trailer. The Timbrens actually come towed in already with their specs, so they're meant to be mounted to perfectly parallel surfaces. That way the trailer is going to have the correct alignment and it's not going to eat the tires up. For my first welds here, I went around and did this outside seam on all 4 corners, do it in a zigzag. That way they're all kind of pulling against each other. Next, what I'm going to do is do this top side. I'm going to flip it up, do this bottom side, move to that corner, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. And that should all have it all kind of pulling itself against each other and help keep it square. We're going to start welding from the inside of the corner and towards the outside. Made some good progress on the welding. Got most of the structural bracing and all of the face welds done here. I just figured I'd go ahead and do that. As you saw, slipping it over and working my way around. I'm gonna let the welder rest for a little bit. It's a good welder, but it's not meant to be welding all that much right there in a row. So I'm gonna let it rest here a little bit and let things kind of cool off. And then I will start off by finishing that filler on the corners there, and that'll complete the box of the frame. And then I got to go around and do all these little inside corners all through here. So that's quite a bit of work coming up for the welder, so I just figured I'd let it rest and we'll get back to it in here in a little bit. Alright, we got the frame all welded up. Everything's still measuring out good. This is about where I'm going to put the axle. This is rated at 60% from the front of the frame. They say it's a 60-40 rule, so 60, 40%. And that'll help with the trailer and how it tracks and everything. It's still going to keep the tongue weight down because I'm not going to be hauling much weight anyways. The frame will be higher up off the ground than this. That's just as high as my jack stands go. You can see the center hub of the wheel. These are the same size tires I'm going to be running. It's almost equal with the frame, so it is going to sit a little higher than that. But that's just kind of a general idea of how it's going to look. Okay, we got our Timbren axle suspension in. We got all of our bearings and our hubs here. Toyota lug pattern 6x5.5. I'm gonna get these all packed up and get these hubs put together. Just to show you what it looks like with the axles on there, I got those positioned. The 60%, the 60-40 rule we talked about before. The wheels are gonna be just behind the 60, which is not a bad thing. It could be, you know, more or less. It's just obviously you gotta think about how your wheel's gonna be sitting. Basically, to attach these, you just gotta drill some 1/2-inch holes all the way through the frame. And those come out both sides. Obviously having the frame upside down helps with that a lot, because then those can just kind of sit on there. Got a bunch of grade 8 hardware that I'm going to bolt them up with. Alright, we got a grade 8 hardware on. We got a washer, lock washer, nut. We're using a 3.5 inch, 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch bolt, also grade 8. We got 3 bolts total holding the axle on. And those are temporarily tightened up. We're obviously gonna have to remove this to paint the frame. I just need to get this mocked up so I get the hubs on and get the tires and wheels on, and then figure out how I'm going to build these fenders. Okay, what you saw there was me building these hubs. Got them all adjusted right. There's plenty of videos on YouTube if you want to learn how to do that. I thought about putting it in this video, but that seemed like a whole other video in itself, so I just kind of did a time lapse of me doing that. I'll maybe link a good video in the description to teach you how to do that. Trailer's still upside down right now, but just to show you, that's totally all bolted up. Actually, one of the next things I'm going to do, so the same 2x2 square tubing I used here, there's holes on each one of these axles, and you actually connect the axles together, which helps strengthen the frame and keep these from being a little flimsy. Right now, just this with those 3 bolts temporarily holding it, but that bar will strengthen it significantly. Got my support tube cut. Just had to cut a 4-foot piece of bar. Put it in there. This kind of, even just this sitting in there alone helps straighten this axle out some. Eventually on final assembly, I'm gonna have to drill some holes and put some bolts through there to keep it in place. But this is all temporary, so I can get my wheels on place and get those fenders made. Putting some final touches on the frame here. I'm just showing you I cut out a square that fits inside of the end of this tube, and then I'm welding up all the seams here to close them up. Here's one I've already done the 3 corners just like that, and then after that I'm going to take a grinding wheel and smooth it all off and make it look like it's supposed to be boxed in and sealed like that. So I'll get that done and show you the after. Here we are, it's all rolling on the new wheels. I picked up I had a buddy with 2 extra TRD Pro wheels and some tires that I got from him. Pulled it out of the garage because next I'm going to start working on making these fenders. Got these corners all capped off like I was telling you about. It's nice to get it rolling. It's really starting to take shape, and I'm excited to work with these fenders. I think like I've said before, it's gonna do like a 45 flat and another 45. We got our 1x1 steel square tubing in, our aluminum sheet, which I just had laying on the trailer, and that's what I'm gonna use to help build the fenders. You'll see that later. Here I'm just planning out how I want to do these fenders. I made a real rough SketchUp of the tire on this big piece of cardboard, which is super convenient, and then took a little bit of wood and did some test cuts with some angles to really figure out what kind of angle I wanted on each of these. What I've come up with so far, so basically it's going to be 70 degrees for both of them. 45 was just a little too long and drawn out. I wanted it a little more steep, so 70 degrees worked perfect for that, which is a 35 cut here and a 35 cut here, same to there. And then this is where the trailer frame will lay to make that even, 20 degrees, and it should mock up nice. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a jig that I can set on my workbench over there, and then I can weld up 4 of these, you know, braces here, and then from there I can figure out my placement to come out. I can tack everything in place, get all my supports, and then weld it all up. So that's the next step. One other thing I want to show here, so I have the 32-inch tires. They're technically 31.5 if you measure them, that are going on here, and the axles, they compress, which the Timbren calls it deflection. So the deflection on this axle is 2 1/8 of an inch. So basically this is where the top of my 32 with 31.5 inch tire, basically it'll deflect up to here at full compression, and then a 33 will deflect up to here. So that's where I put my fender. I may run 33s on this trailer in the future, and also because if I ever need a spare tire off my truck to put on the trailer, if I get a flat, it'll be able to fit on the trailer. So that's real important as well. All right, we got our template from the trailer over there where I was working on it, over here on the workbench. And what I've done is taken some 2x4s and screwed them to the workbench as kind of a jig so I can clamp the metal. I just used my wood templates so I can figure out my jig placement. And then once I get all my metal pieces cut, I can just clamp them up right here on my jig and tack them up. I mean, ideally you don't want to tack weld on wood, but it'll be all right. And I think it's going to turn out real good. I'll go ahead and do 4 of these. We got all of our, well, most of our metal pieces cut for the fenders, enough to where we can get the metal in this jig and tack weld all these corners. And then I got some posts cut already, that those are going to be coming out from the trailer. Then we can set those on top of those posts, figure out what supports we need the 2. As you can see, this jig works out pretty good. I think it'll hold it in place, let me get it tack welded and keep its shape, and that'll help me make these fenders actually come out pretty good. There we go, that little welding jig I made worked out perfect. You can see we got 4 identical structure braces here, just to kind of show you what it's going to look like. Obviously it won't be sitting on top of the tire, but that's the clearance, and it'll be sitting probably like right up here, and that'll be the structural shape of our fender. Next we're going to figure out our placement of these, which are what these are going to weld to, 2 on each side, and then after that brace in between there, and then this is a huge sheet of aluminum which I'm going to cut and plate it all in. Alright, here we go. We got all of our pieces all tack welded in. I had to cut those supports, bridge the gap there. I'm gonna end up cutting some little 45s. I was kind of wanting to wait back here, trying to figure out what my taillight situation was going to be, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put some supports there. That'll probably be next, and then I can go ahead and weld it all up, and then after that cut the aluminum for the skin. Alrighty, it's the next day. There's a lot of welding to finish welding this up. Last night I actually did that whole side pretty much in the dark. As you can see, now I'm going through and cleaning up all these welds, just because I'm gonna have a panel laying flat on here. So I want this all to be a nice level flat surface. Here, I'll show you what the other side looked like before I ground. So basically what I'm doing is just taking these welds, grinding them flat. Actually, I forgot to do all these corners, but that's because it was dark and I looked all around and thought I got it all, and I didn't. But I'll go through and do those before I end up grinding them. And then next, I'm gonna cut some 45 supports out to here just to strengthen these. Honestly, these would probably be fine just the way they are. I'm kind of thinking the 45 supports will also help guide the trailer around something, if a tree or something, that way it doesn't get caught up right here on this corner. Have made some solid progress on the trailer this weekend. Got all of our fenders done. We got our front braces in. Got our rear braces in. I originally wasn't going to do these rear braces because I was thinking I was going to put a tail light or something right there, but after getting these fenders on and everything, this is pretty close to flat. I might end up flush mounting some tail lights right here. I think that might end up working out pretty good. I guess we'll just have to see. I'm still not sure which tail lights I'm going to run yet. I'm going to look online and see what's out there and really kind of see what my options are, but she's super solid. Really stoked with the progress. Alright guys, so I've got pretty much all the parts gathered to finish this trailer. Now it's all about just doing it. So this first part of the video I feel like it's going to be kind of long, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here, and I'm going to pick up with a part 2. and that's going to be finishing the trailer. So this first video will be kind of the main structure, how I built it, and then in the next video I'm going to show you what I did with the fender skins, how I'm bolting on my motorcycle carrier, and putting the hitch on, and just painting it and finishing out the trailer completely. So if all you needed was to know how to do the structure and you got plans for how to finish the trailer, then you could just watch this video and be done with it. But if you're looking on how to what to paint it with, how to finish these fender skins and everything like that, go ahead and subscribe, and that'll all be in part 2. So we'll see you next time.